Hey, what's up? This is Cody the Coin Raptor, and in today's video, I want to go ahead and go over some very important Bitcoin and crypto related news, as well as get an idea of what happened to the market recently. So, before we begin, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you guys enjoy this content. I'm so close to 200 subscribers. I think I'm at about 195 right now, and it'd just be fantastic if I get all the way up to 200. Greatly appreciate that, guys. So, we're going to first talk about what most of crypto Twitter is talking about and social media, and that is Ledger, the Ledger wallet, and what's going on with Ledger. So, Ledger kind of had a very negative reaction to some of the information that was put out recently. Now, Ledger recently talked about having this Ledger Recover feature that they're going to be adding in at a later update to the wallet itself, because if you guys didn't know, Ledger is a cold wallet. You can store your crypto in it, and the private keys remain with yourself, and you're unable to transact or send any crypto or Bitcoin without having those private keys. So the biggest issue here is that they introduced this Ledger Recover feature, or they were planning on introducing this Ledger Recover feature, which would basically, people feared it would take a copy of your seed phrase and send it to a server, and that was the fear for Ledger. Now, Ledger came out and they said, well, this isn't actually the case. That's not exactly what we're doing here with this feature. First, you have to enable the feature once we implement it, and then it's used as a recovery feature and not as something that people can use to access your account. But Ledger support also did not really do themselves any favor by saying things like, technically speaking, it is and always has been possible to write firmware that facilitates key extraction. You have always trusted Ledger not to deploy such firmware, whether you knew it or not. This right here is a very, very poor answer to what they're trying to give. So I spent a good amount of time looking up what exactly is going on with Ledger and if these fears are overblown. And I do think that that Ledger handled this situation very poorly, and they could have handled it better. But I don't think that there's any major problems with Ledger itself. And this feature has not been implemented. This Ledger Recover feature has not been implemented. And on top of that, you still have to enable it as a function. So Ledger kind of, they got themselves into a bit of a corner. There's been several people apparently destroying their ledgers and getting rid of them. I have a ledger. I still use it, and I wasn't planning on getting rid of it because I don't feel that this was a true crisis moment for Ledger. Now, what kind of makes Ledger different than something like, say, Celsius is Celsius had a centralized finance, and it was not a wallet for the most part. There were not custodial services for the most part. If you put your money in Celsius Earn, you technically didn't own that money. That wasn't your crypto anymore, which I don't agree with, but that was part of their terms of service. Now, in comparison, Ledger is just a wallet. Ledger, you use Ledger to hold your crypto, and I use Ledger, and I enjoyed the service currently. I don't think there's any problems with it whatsoever, and I will continue to use the service. And some of the information coming out about Ledger and the impact on the crypto market has been kind of falsified, and the panic kind of seems a little overblown because people thought that anybody could just come in and just take your private key or your seed phrase and then gain access to your crypto, and that's just not the case. But I always recommend that you guys do your own due diligence whenever you're looking at a specific wallet to hold your crypto, whether it's a hard wallet or whether it's a cold wallet or a hot wallet. Always do your own due diligence, but I will continue using Ledger, and I think that this whole crisis is a little overblown. Now, I also want to go ahead and talk about what Bitcoin did today, just real quick. So, NASDAQ 100 fell today about a little over 1%, and you kind of expect that on a day like today, Bitcoin would also follow NASDAQ, and it has to an extent. It was down just barely 0.16% today, and so we've seen a little bit of a divergence from that. Normally, Bitcoin follows the NASDAQ. There's a positive correlation there. Bitcoin seems to have not sold off nearly as hard as the NASDAQ has, and I think that's a good sign to see that divergence. Now, one of the reasons why Bitcoin kind of sold off and larger markets sold off today is because of the idea that we could have, the U.S. could have a debt default. Now, they've set an idea that this is going to happen potentially on June 1st, even though some deadlines are saying a week later after that point. Now, the debt ceiling and debt default conversation for me is a little hyperbole, because the way I see it is the government has to pay their bills, right? If they don't pay their bills, then they're going to default. And if they default, that could mean disastrous consequences for the U.S. economy, which in turn would also mean disastrous consequences for the rest of the world as well. Now, I don't think that we're going to get a plan or an action or a law passed on the debt ceiling right away. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some wrangling between the parties in Congress, but I do think it's going to happen. I don't think that the debt ceiling is going to collapse. I don't think that the government's going to default, because, quite frankly, it benefits nobody. And on top of that, even if it did, this would honestly be a bullish point for Bitcoin, because anytime the government fails, or any government fails, it is a bullish point for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is decentralized and allows us to exist in a financial universe without the traditional financial systems. Okay, so if the government defaulted on the debt ceiling, that would be short-term disastrous. You'd probably see Bitcoin take a big hit short term, but the long-term health of the Bitcoin and the blockchain, I believe, would still be intact. And I think the bullish case would actually be much, much greater, given the fact that at that point, people can't even trust the government to do basic things like keep the lights on. So I don't think this is going to happen. I put this at a very low possibility of there being a debt ceiling default, but the fact that they've had some issues coming together, reaching an agreement. We've had the Bitcoin and the NASDAQ tank based on that information, and I do think, as I said before, that it is a little overblown. In fact, if we go to the Bitcoin and Crypto Fear and Greed Index, we have right now at about 45, so we're in a state of fear currently, and that was kind of in comparison to where we were just a couple of days ago, in which on the 18th we're about 54 or so. That was actually solid green and greed. And right now what we're starting to see is a little bit of a sell-off. Bitcoin's still hanging around 27.2 or so, about 27,100, 27,200. Has not really gone much either which direction. So I don't feel that this is an appropriate time to update you guys on the Bitcoin chart TA. If you're interested in that, check out my Twitter. I always try to post one Bitcoin chart TA post on Twitter, and I'm still currently expecting Bitcoin to go down, or at least touch 25K in the coming weeks. All right. Now, also, one very important thing I want to talk about is what's going on with Bitcoin options. So Bitcoin options, if you guys take a look at Deribit, I'm on Deribit right now, taking a look at the options. Now, currently what we have here is on the 26th of May, there is going to be over $2 billion of Bitcoin options that are going to be set to expire. Most of these are call options, a very small amount are put options, but mostly call options. I'm expecting huge volatility on the 26th of May or the couple days leading up to it, so that will be very soon. And if you take a look at the max pain price, it's currently sitting at 27,000. Now, max pain theory suggests that the price, as it gets closer to the 26th of May, will try and get closer to that max pain price at about 27K. So we'll see if that happens or not, but I thought I'd throw that out there because I think that's relevant data to what's going on right now. So again, the 26th of May is going to be that Friday, and that we could wind up seeing potentially a ton of volatility for that day. All right. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this content, if you enjoy my thoughts on the market and specifically what I have to think about some of the major points of the Bitcoin and the crypto market. I always try to put these videos out as I get new material and as I've done some research and try to figure things out for myself. So let me know what you guys think about this, and if you guys think that Ledger is dangerous, if you're not going to be using Ledger, or if you're going to use something like Trezor instead, definitely like to know about that. Leave a comment below and let me know what you guys think. This is Cody the Coin Raptor, and I hope to catch you guys in the next video.